Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Hi, if you're just tuning in, I'm just trying to watch the same video on my phone so I can see that it's working. My channel. Okay. Yeah. We are on it. Hiya, Hinstas, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, welcome to Happy Taurus season. Yes, we are about a week into Taurus season now, the second season of the astrological year. How are we doing? What's new? Are there any Taurian Hinstas watching now or later? And do you have any special birthday plans? I kind of feel like this year Taurians will be celebrating on a more low-key level, especially with the Mercury retrograde going on right now. There's a lot of collective will to just lay back a bit and not pin our hopes too tightly on any outcomes, to just be is what it is type of shiz. Now we are in this video going to talk specifically to all the rising signs and Taurus season, so stay tuned. That will be at the end of this video. But yeah, we do have Mercury retrograde going on right now as well, so keep that in mind. But before we delve a bit deeper into this year's Taurus season, I'd like to remind you, or let any new subscribers to the channel know, that I am still offering places for my Introduction to Spiritual Astrology course, an online course which will start this June and lasts 6 months with a lecture and seminar once a week, which will be both beginner-friendly and uniquely interesting for the Hinstas who already know some astrology, because this course approaches astrology through a spiritual Hellenistic lens. I still have some free scholarship places left for this course, and for everyone else, there is a modest fee of £69 for all 6 months of those classes, which, by the way, also includes homework, a presentation assessment, and a final essay exam, and the chance to nab yourself a cheeky certificate at the end of it all. If you or someone you know might like to get on this exciting course, check out the description box below for more details. All right, without further ado, boos, Taurus season 2023. Moo, woohoo, ooh. I can feel a bit of Taurians kind of rolling their eyes and feigning excitement, but also kind of secretly being excited and into it right now. And I love Taurus energy. But what is Taurus season really? It's the first shadow season of the astrological year. Let me get some water. By the way, gotta stay hydrated. Okay, so this cup is from my auntie, by the way, my auntie Trish. If she's watching, she might be watching. Sometimes she is. Hiya. But yeah, what is Taurus season really? We're going to get into it now. We're going to get spiritual. We're going to get Hellenistic. Well, yes, it's the first shadow season again, and it's the first shadow season of the astrological year. And Aries was the first light season. All 12 seasons go light, shadow, and so on through the 12 signs, through the 12 seasons. And in a shadow season, it's always a wise idea to keep your sunshades on, to walk on the shady side of the pavement, if you know what I mean, and to keep more quiet. We're also, by the way, in a rabbit year. And this overarching energy also invites us to stay burrowed, or at least to stay focused on finding where it is that we really ought to be burrowing, like rabbits. Taurus, I think Taurus and rabbit energy kind of gels well. Taurus is also a fixed feminine earth sign, and it is the temple of Venus. If we take a quick look at the tarot, we can consider this way. I need to look at my phone as well to make sure it's working. We can see or consider the Queen of Pentacles right there. Can you see that? Okay, there's a bit of lag, but this is the Queen of Pentacles. There she is. And see how this queen sort of softly bows the head in waiting, passively is receiving, or perhaps is quietly waiting to gladly hand some bounty over. The earthy expression of Venus is not fussing over words, it just is, or it just isn't. That's Taurus energy. It is or it isn't. I mean, that's fixed energy quite generally. Like it's A or it's B, like it's black or it's white. And I would also like to show you the Queen of Wands card. Again, let me just calibrate to make sure make sure you can see the whole card, because I think something similar is going on with this card and what you see here. It echoes Venus, a fiery, passionate goddess who knows what she wants and how to get it. Often with Taurian energy, we get what we want through the Venusian ways of flirtation, attraction, pleasure, laughter, rejoice, and so on. So often you see Taurians just succeeding so well in the workplace or at school or in life or in relationships because of that natural ability to just get along, just kind of be smooth and kind of relaxed, and usually exercising incredible amounts of patience. And with Taurus season, we are asked to keep patiently waiting. It is the season when we now must watch planted seeds sprout. It can get boring for some people, and people who have a lot of fire, who have a very fiery spirit, they will easily lose their temper in a season like Taurus season, and they'll start banging things, and you'll notice they get like really fast and loosen their heads around, and losing their heads as well. Let's also consider Saturn, which is in Pisces now, and it's going to be there for like the next 3 years. Saturn in Pisces is sextiling this sun in Taurus, and Venus is the ruler of sextiles, an easily beneficial aspect, the sextile, where things are just there, where all is set to happen. And with Saturn in the mix, in the feminine temple of Jupiter, Pisces, I am thinking now of soil and nourishment, a combination of imagination, isolation, and putting hard, like elbow grease, into something that we want to happen. But you can't force it, really. It breaks if you force it. And in this particular Taurus season of 2023, we have, like I mentioned before, a retrograde, Mercury retrograde in Taurus. And I've already made a couple of videos touching on this, but what we have here is Mercury in Venus's sign, Taurus, and Venus currently in Mercury's sign, Gemini. This being mutual reception. And we are invited now to let more things just be, to enjoy the process, and also to not be a dumbass. That's very important. We've got a full moon coming up in Scorpio, the sign opposite Taurus. And I'm getting, for this, the theme of what I'm calling like Disneyland beggars. It's like when your dreams are too big and you only have like 27 pence to your name, that kind of thing. It's not that it's wrong to have big dreams, but it is that Earth now is trying to ground us more. And Taurus season is always inviting us to take a chill pill and smell the proverbial coffee a bit more. And the moon does rule fools, by the way, and the moon falls in Scorpio, and it will be opposing the sun and Mercury. But I'll get more into the full moon in another video coming soon. What else is Taurus then? By the way, if you're a Taurus sun or Taurus rising, I do offer 50% off my hourly rate for astrology and tarot reading. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, then check out the description box below and let me know. Leave me a comment below also if you're a Taurus or you've got loads of Taurus energy in your birth chart. How is your 2023 Taurus season beginning? And what's your experience of your Taurian placements? Taurus season brings us all sorts of like subtly spooky, again, it's a shadow season, right? Subtly spooky themes and experiences. Taurus is things like bones and bodies and dancing, and it's ruts, and it's also falling back into ruts, especially this time with Mercury retrograde. Taurus is also things like, and you don't hear this so often, but it is things like hypnosis and trances. I think of Jeffrey Dahmer, that's his name, I think, who had heavy Taurian energy and who obviously tapped into the evil sides of Venusian shadow energy. But Taurus is also a time of enticement and carnal celebrations of the return of the light. We have around this time of the year Beltane and other festivals of light and fire festivals around the world through different traditions and cultures. And Taurus season also brings to lost my train of thought. Taurus season also brings us what? To the theme of obsession, yes. And the Taurian shadow season can have us taken by the good people, like I was just there. Especially with Mercury retrograde. It's a prime time, actually, to get mugged or to have somebody pull the wool over your eyes. And Mercury is the god of messengers and the god of tricks and theft. And it's easy during this time for some of us to get like intoxicated somehow and led astray. I would avoid generally like strange people or things that feel kind of off. You can always bat it off in that Venusian, Taurian, sweet way, say something nice. You don't have to be mean, but otherwise, or nonetheless, rather, avoid. But still, a Venusian season often has that soft edge, that cushion, some kind of there lesson or morale of the story at the end of it. Even if you do fall prey to something or somebody, there's still that kind of there kind of softer Mercury retrograde Taurian Venusian ending to it. So I think generally you're good. Another thing Mercury loves to bring us during a retrograde in a fixed sign is exactly what we are asking for. So do beware those moments when we want to kind of slam dishes or really kick something or put our foot down on the pedal and like aggressively get to something. It's a bit like, oh, you want to run. Mercury is going to make you run. But it might not be running for the thing you expected to be running for. Fixed energy often has us kind of unable to pull back once we've thrown ourselves into something. And Mercury just loves to have a little laugh at us, at our expense, at getting what we wanted, right? And Taurus, by the way, is also about senses, and that's senses in all the ways that can be defined. And during this season, we can get that peek into other people's or even our own lives and spirits, and something finally clicks. It's like when you had a weird feeling about someone, and then days or months or years later, you finally get to see their home or their space, and you catch a certain sight or smell or thing, or you get some kind of feeling, and finally you begin to understand something about that person or about yourself again. And it's not like a season to judge them or to judge yourselves. It's more like just noticing and moving along. That's Taurus season. And the early seasons of the astrological year, Aries, Taurus, Gemini season, they tend to be like that. It's like the beginning to finally understand something or someone or oneself. And it's also a bit like a resolution, finally becoming or beginning to become a regular habit. So I do want to say congratulations to anyone, any hinsters, if that's you, who have finally like gotten the hang of something. So well done. Let's talk now about some key dates, shall we? Some astrological dates. Hiya. Hiya, bear hug. Um, I was just mentioning you earlier. Okay, dates, yes. So around May 2nd, we've got the sun exactly conjunct Mercury retrograde, or what we call a cazimi. This is when Mercury or any planet is inside the sun, the same exact degree. It's cloaked and combust in the sun, and something may be revealed later once the sun has moved away from Mercury. And this is happening at 11 degrees of Taurus. So if you have a natal placement, look at your birth chart and let me know in the comments if you have a natal placement on this degree or in the signs of Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, then it's especially poignant for you. And I'm getting with this conjunction something illuminated that we have to go back on. There can also be an inability to spend your money or to trade or to move, even some sort of freeze or burnout, because Mercury also, and this is not talked about often, but Mercury also rules things like markets and the exchange of money, money, currencies going through hands and accounts. And there can be, when Mercury is combust and when there's a cazimi, there could be like a snatching away or a curtain or a barrier or a block. And it's retrograde as well, right? Mercury. So it's like something pulls you back, stops you, freezes you. So that can be happening as well. And others may be rejoicing with old friends because Mercury rules friends. And also, this conjunction can a little bit later bring about the exposure of thieves and liars because Mercury is the ruler of theft and lying and trickery. On May 5th, then, we have the full moon in Scorpio, which I mentioned earlier. Now, I will be making a separate video on this, so stay tuned. But right here, right now, I'll say, please don't count your chicks before they've hatched. Actually, as I wrote the notes and script for this video, the moon was / still is transiting Leo. So I get also this message of pride coming before a fall. So keep it humble, keep it classy, keep it canny, and like don't put the, what's the expression? Don't put the cart before the horse. Okay, May 9th, around that date, we have the sun exactly conjunct Uranus at 18 degrees Taurus. Now, in my particular astrological practice, when it comes to the outer planets, I only consider the exact conjunction. So when the sun or whatever inner planet is exactly on the same degree or exactly aspecting that outer planet. So the sun and Uranus at 18 degrees of Taurus. Or if you have any natal placements on 18 degrees of Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, this is especially for you. And some possible themes can be for you that you're like affected by some surprising revelation, or you get some big, sudden yes from the universe. But you may have to respond quickly, and you may have to drop a few things last minute. And this conjunction can also bring themes and experiences concerning fathers and father figures and something sudden or shocking happening around that or those people in your life. And it can also be about you getting some big idea, like a eureka moment. So if you're like a creative or academic or something like that, be sure to write down your ideas and your thought processes so that you don't forget something that might develop into something pretty cool or brilliant or very practical for your future. Now, around May 18th, we have the sun sextiling Neptune. This is the sun at 27 degrees Taurus and Neptune 27 degrees Pisces. So If you have a natal placement, 27 degrees of Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, this is especially for you, but really the Taurian placements, so 27 degrees of Taurus especially. Or if you have something, of course, 27 degrees Pisces. I mean, definitely if you have something 27 degrees Pisces, you're feeling this, and this could be a long time as well for you. But keep in mind, this is also, by the way, around this date of May 18th, when Mercury, the retrograde, will be over. And so whatever Mercury was bringing up for you has kind of dissipated or reversed or calmed down. And for the Sun Neptune sextile specifically, I'm getting for you blessings like falling from the Wheel of Fortune, especially if you've been willing to give up, if you've been willing to like wear your heart on your sleeve, even when it wasn't easy. I can see one or two really nice, like lovely things coming your way. And others might be getting some unbelievable affirmations because the sun deals with affirmations and again, that divine yes. And there can also be some nice healing for people and a renewed sense of vitality and also clarity concerning like any confusions or like illusions you've had about relationships that you're in. Finally, the last date I'm going to talk about. Around May 20th, we have another sextile, and this time it's the Sun sextile Mars at the 29th degree, and that's the last degree of any sign, or what we call the anaretic degree. And this degree I do interpret as the most intense, kind of on the brink type of energy. So it's like as the sun is about to jump into Gemini, and it's when Mars is about to jump out of Cancer and into Leo. And Mars, especially, will be gaining lots of dignity back when it comes out of its fall in Cancer. But let's talk about that in another video. Mars in Cancer into Leo. That's going to be fun. So if you have any natal placements, yes, 29 degrees of Taurus, or 29 degrees of Cancer as well, especially, then you will most certainly be affected or feel this sextile. And I'm getting here for you this message of like talking and being emotionally reciprocal and facing uncomfortable situations. And that being something that is easy or that can so easily be something that brings about a result when things are kind of really on the brink somehow for you. Rightio, I've rambled enough about that. Before I go, let's look at all the rising signs briefly and what this Taurus season highlights for you. So first, if you're a Taurus rising, this season is much more important for you usually. All of these transits are affecting first house themes, such as your body, your health, your personality, your very spirit, and also new beginnings for yourself and your life path. This is really exciting stuff. Let me know in the comments what's going on for you, Taurus rising. For Gemini rising, this is also pretty important or insightful, at least for you, because remember, we've been having this interesting Mercury Venus mutual reception. And for you, it's in the 12th house, Taurus season. And one interesting thing I've been noticing about Gemini risings right now is that because there's a lot of energy going on in this house of bad spirit, the house of the unconscious, it's so easy for you to be feeling exhausted and giving up on things, or feeling maybe even that someone or something is like just against you. And I would try to put some of those feelings aside if possible. I'd also try, I'm just getting this now, I try to stop drinking or stop drinking as much or smoking or getting into any state of highness during Taurus season. And also, I'd stay well away from gossipers and anything or anyone that gives you like a nauseating vibe. Also, Gemini rising, if you are sick, please take time off work and get better. For Cancer rising, then, hiya, that's me as well. Yay. Okay, so for we slash you, us, we have themes of the 11th house. And this is friends, this is allies, this is wishes, this is good spirit, this is help and support for actions that you are taking. This is hopes, desires, expectations. This is lovely things rained down on you from the gods. It's also about your dignity and your wealth. Now, with a Mercury retrograde, there could be some backwardsness going on. And in my case, it's like a goodbye dinner with friends and meeting family before I leave, hopefully, my country, before I leave my country to work abroad. But like, it's also like, I don't know exactly when I will be going. It's kind of like, bye, but I could also still be here for a month or two. Like, it's kind of Mercury retrograde weird and in the air. Um, so it can also for some of us be this feeling of like a pinch financially or having to slow down in some sense our spending, or having to wait a bit longer for the actualization of some wish. And remember also, Cancer Rising, that the 11th house connects strongly to the 10th house, the house of praxis or big action. And so this is all very Jupiterian in fashion. That is to say, if you put in the work towards wishes, they come true. And if you squander what's on offer, you tend to get nada. And that's a bit in a Taurus season style and is what it is sort of thing. Mars is also in your first house, Cancer Rising. So, yeah, it's easier for you to trip yourself up. It has been quite easy over the past couple months with Mars there, but it's also been a good time for us to fight for our acceleration or to contend with something or to overcome disease, even in some people's cases. So, yeah. For Leo rising, then, this is a 10th house sort of affair for you, Taurus season. So, we're talking about your career, Leo rising. We're talking about your reputation, praxis again, or big actions that you need to be taking, probably. And the 10th house can even be about fathers and family more generally. And for you, Taurus season is always a bit of an itchy season, Leo rising, and it's an angular season for you. So it's very important, but it's an itch or an urge um, to move yourself and build up your career or work on things like your CV or show off your accolades. And I do think, especially if you are like a shy Leo rising, Taurus season kind of pulls you into the limelight anyway, and you need to just take it, baby. Take it all. You deserve it. And for other Leo risings, right now, maybe you're just taking time to chill out more, like putting much more effort into your family, your self-care as well. And it might like offend or surprise some people, but don't look back, baby. That's all I'm gonna say. For Virgo rising, then this is your ninth house, the house of dreams. But when I say dreams, I mean like actual dreams that you have during your sleep and the interpretation of dreams, the recording of dreams. It's the house of divination. It's the house of gods. It's the house of teachers and uncles, any sort of guide. It's the house of your right way. It's the house of faith, of big beliefs and higher optimism. And it's also about studying in higher education for some aspirational purpose, Virgo rising. And it's about literal trips as well that you're taking that also have some kind of spiritual reason or some kind of important purpose for you. And what I've been seeing for Virgo risings is a return to you being some type of teacher for others and or yourself. And because Mercury is your life path ruler, being retrograde and in Taurus season, this is an excellent opportunity for you to return to a healthy long-term routine that maybe you're getting stuck into again. And yeah, I'm really happy for you, Virgo rising. For Libra rising, this is your 8th house. And here we've got things like contracts, and we're getting here back things that you are owed and getting also what you deserve. And that can be like in the good, bad, or ugly, uh, by the way. And things like fears or anxiety about the future or being idle or lazy. It's also about death. It's also inheritance. It's also like your partner's shiz, your partner's livelihood and baggage. It's also punishment and justice. And by the way, when I say death here, this absolutely doesn't have to be literal. There's a lot of hysteria about some of the words we use when we're doing astrology, but death is again in all the senses. So perhaps it's the end of a relationship or a job or a chapter closing simply. Also, this season for you tends to be quieter anyway, Libra Rising. Unless you have quite a few natal placements in Taurus as well, then it might be more significant for you. But otherwise, for Libra Rising, this is kind of a nice cruise. It's also um, the feminine expression of your own rising sign, because Venus rules Libra and Venus also rules Taurus. So usually it's more of a just you kind of chilling out a bit more, kind of calming the farm a bit, going inward a bit more. When usually it's okay. Um, for Scorpio rising, this is seventh house stuff and quite significant for you because Taurus opposes you, and because we do have this full moon approaching in your first house, Scorpio rising. Now, the seventh house pertains to partners, negotiating with others. It's also things like evening or after dark activities. Yes, yes, it can simply be for some a season where you are really letting your hair down, and it's a culmination of secret, saucy sensuality. Do share in the comments if this is you having some really fun party. But also, this is an angular season for you, Scorpio rising, so it does tend to be more significant. Some Scorpio risings will be like celebrating getting together with someone, maybe even engagements. Some Scorpio risings will be witnessing their partner have an emotional breakdown or an outburst, or perhaps like some other person, or even an open enemy, because that's also seventh house, open enemies, oppositional people. Even them in your life could be experiencing some kind of mad lunar letting go moment. Sagittarius rising then. Woo. Taurus season is your sixth house season. So this is the house of bad fortune. This is any person or service that you pay for as well. This is also your health. And because we've got a Mercury retrograde, I think for many of you, it's important to pay attention to anyone or anything that's returning to your life. And like, how do you feel about that? Like, what's Mercury trying to teach you, if anything? It's a great time also to stop and think, breathe, yes, and think more about your health. Like, slow down a bit and like check your vitals and see if you can talk to someone and have like a casual, relaxed chat with someone, get something checked out, even if it's just like for your casual knowledge. You know, Sagittarius rising is usually pretty probing and curious. So even if there's nothing like you're feeling is going on health wise, it doesn't harm to just get a blood test or just have a little chit chat with your doctor. Just kind of check it out, check yourself out, you know, check it out. Um, Okay, where were we? For Capricorn Rising, this is fifth house shenanigans. So themes like your kids, if you have any kids. It's also stuff like gambling, risk. It's also games and good fortune. And basically, this is what I call the house of fun. It's actually a good season to get more money, Capricorn Rising. It's a good season to get more stuff, to have nice stuff for yourself, and like to pamper your life just a bit more. um, the fifth house trines your first house. A trine is another traditional aspect and argued as the best aspect. So these things are like super easy and magical for you to like obtain or tap into. But it's Jupiterian energy is the trine. Yes, Jupiter rules trines. So it's about being able, Capricorn rising, to switch between Capi and Taurian earth energies, being able to make both Saturnian and Venusian expressions converse, being able to let both of these gods speak to you during this season, not just one of them. And if you're too focused on control as well, Capricorn rising, it may frustrate you more because Taurus season is not really about control. When it could be better for you to just like go with the material flow right now, and to like follow what and where just feels good and lovely for you. And that's where the gold is right now. Okay, for Aquarius rising, we've got fourth house stuff for you. And this is an angular season, so a very important time for you, Aquarius rising, usually. And also, like, you know, fourth house is like your roots, your foundations, and it's square energy. So maybe you've been like shaken quite a lot already. Um, But it's all good. It's all good. Fourth house stuff is the stuff of the subconscious and hidden things, buried treasure as well. So fourth house stuff feels weird sometimes. Like you don't really know what's going on or why things are happening the way they are. Aquarius rising. And it's also, like I said, square energy. So I'd bet right now that many of you are feeling that itch or that urge, that pressure to fixate on really rooting yourself. Um, but it's like having to do it by bending instead of breaking. That's what I'm getting for you. Like Aquarius is fixed masculine air, Taurus is fixed feminine earth. So it's always good for you in Taurus season to play it a bit dumb, to keep it zipped a bit and just listen and just notice things in that cute little Taurian way. You need to be more like a cute little cow in the field, just kind of like batting your eyelashes and kind of just munching grass like butter wouldn't melt and just being like, yeah, yeah, sure, yeah. Um, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, some of you, this season, because you may be like learning or remembering that it's much easier to get what you want when you apply warmth over coldness or detachment. And it reminds me of when I was at first school or primary school, this story that they used to tell us about the sun and the wind. And there was this man, he was walking down the street with his coat on, and one of them, I can't remember which one, probably the wind, one of them challenges the other, saying, I bet you I can take or make that man rather take off his coat. And so the other accepts the challenge, and the wind blows on the man. But the more the wind blows, the more the man just clings to his coat and keeps his coat on, and the coat does not blow off. He does not let go or take off that coat. While the sun just beams down on the man nonchalantly, and the man takes off his coat. So, yeah, get into it, Aquarius. Enjoy your Taurus season like that. All right, now who have we got? Pisces Rising. Yes, so for Pisces Rising, this is third house stuff. So themes like this is 101 type stuff. This is going back to the basics. And I see some of you also like having to study again or revise the way you are communicating. Maybe you're retraining in some sense. You're having to go back to school, some of you. Maybe you don't want to, but it's going to be worth it for filling in gaps and tying up loose ends, Pisces rising. And this can also have to do with like how you communicate or relate to things as well. Maybe you're revising or snipping back some things, Pisces rising. Let me know in the comments what you're experiencing, if anything, around that. But the third house, also Pisces rising, concerns neighbors and friends and siblings. Like all the people kind of just usually around you, nearby you, or in your digital localities. All the people who kind of usually like your posts on Instagram. All this type of stuff is third house. So something of that ilk could be cropping up for you. But there are also many other interesting things in this house. There are goddesses in this house. It opposes the ninth house, which I talked about earlier. With gods, we've got goddesses here for you. And so we have the more feminine experiences of divinity and spirit and divination. And also, this is the house of religious or sacred places or rituals or burial grounds. And perhaps it's a good time to slow down in this Taurian way, or to chill out and like to get back, Pisces rising, to your spiritual roots, or get back to some kind of calm. Maybe things have been going like really weird for you or at 100 miles an hour, and now it's time for you to pull back or go back in some sense. I'm getting also for some of you, Pisces rising, it's just time to have that cup of tea or that glass of wine with that one friend who just gets to you and just listens, and you just need to like vent or go back over some topic, and just do it, Pisces rising. Give them a call, and also keep things simple, Pisces rising. And if you're the boss of someone as well, I'm getting, because the third house interestingly has to do with having power over people as well, being someone's boss. And if you are, practice that excellent patience and kindness that you possess. I think it's going to really help some people who might be struggling in your life or in your company or on your team. because not everyone has that patience or kindness that you so easily do, Pisces Rising. And this season generally shouldn't be too bad for you. That's what I'm getting. It's a third house type of deal. It's usually not so bad. For Aries Rising, then, last but never least, this is your second house, Aries. So here we are talking. What are we talking about? Like stuff like money. This is the seed planting house, right? So stuff like money, spending. What are you putting into things? What are you putting out there so as to get something back from someone or some place? We're talking investments. We're talking about effort as well that you put into things. So in a spiritual sense, the second house is not just about money. It's also every type of energy and thing you put anywhere. So if someone starts gossiping, or talking about a topic you don't like, it's about what are you going to put into that? Are you going to contribute in the same way? Are you going to pull back? Like, how are you going to put stuff out there into that? And to be conscious of that, because something always comes back from what we've just put out. Think about like toxic cycles as well, and that kind of thing. That's very second house stuff. And even it's things like cooking and nutrition, the second house, because we're putting stuff into stuff and we're going to get something back, right? We're going to put all these ingredients into a bowl, into the oven, and going to get a cake, second house. It's a great time, I think, for some of you Aries Rising to get back into stuff like cooking or baking, if that's something that you used to do, but you stopped for whatever reason. It's a good opportunity to slow down as well, as I've been saying for a few of the signs, um, and to assess like whom and like where you are placing your energies, and to really get those ducks in order in terms of putting stuff out there. There's a great chance for you to slow down with this Mercury retrograde, especially, and to just do that assessment. Um, and see also if you can approach something or someone with more generosity, because the second house is also, by the way, about generosity. It's about giving. It's a very interesting house. It's about just giving, being giving of yourself and your time. So see if you've been in a more detached or selfish dynamic, see at this time if you can just be more giving. It will help you also if you've been having bad experiences for months or years, with that kind of give and take dynamic, that axis. Well, that will be all, Hinsters. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already to the channel, and give this video a thumbs up, please, if you enjoyed. And enjoy your Freaky Friday. And I'll be back pretty soon with a video on the full moon. So stay tuned. Stay well, and all the best to you. Mwah. I love you very much. Bye bye.